Hey, everybody, it's Scott Steen with winnersandwhiners.com coming to you with a bonus episode of Today in Sports Betting. Guys, it's Thursday. It is NFL. It is on, everybody. The season that I know a lot of us were worried about ever happening. It's going to happen, and it's going to start. It's going to start today. And, Scott, we've been anxiously monitoring the injury wire. It looks like there's no positive cases of COVID that have come up here. I know that's always the danger. You worry about that game day positive test and who it might sink the ship with them. But so far, it looks like nobody has tested positive. It looks like both of these teams are going to be relatively at full strength. The Chiefs are going to be down starting cornerback Rashard Breeland, who's been suspended for the first 4 games. That hurts. Also missing Mike Pinnell, who did a nice job. They're clogging up the interior of the line. He's out a couple games as well. It's Houston and Kansas City, guys. And the Chiefs, little money's come in on Houston lately as the Chiefs have fallen from a 10 or even 10.5 point favorite here a few days back down to 9. And the total sits as fallen as well at 53. Scott, what are your first impressions of the line movements here?
Not surprised. Based on what people are assuming, of course, Chiefs are going to be great. But the issue you have to wonder here is, first of all, with the lack of offseason, preseason stuff, are both offenses going to look a little bit, I'd say, flat or a little bit disorganized? And that could, bode well for the underdog. Plus, I don't know if you're really buying into motivation in this spot because some people aren't there from last year's team. The Texans still have to be pissed off about it, the way that game ended in the playoffs, right?
Oh, in fact, they were so terrible?
The fact that they were winning by that heavily and then they choked really badly within about a quarter.
Well, that's the way it goes.
Do I think that matters? No. But if you're asking me why I think money's coming on Texans, I think it's mostly because of the fact that nobody knows what to expect from the offenses with the lack of preseason, so you got some underdog value there. And B, you have a motivation angle where the Chiefs might be fat and happy with the Super Bowl hangover while the Texans might be hungry for revenge, quote unquote.
Well, there's also a C involved, and that is the fact that people are stupid. So.
Correct, but I'm going solely based on narrative, which is why I think the public, if anybody, would be betting on the Texans, right?
Yes, absolutely. I don't know all the ridiculous things the public factors in where they think there's a.
I'm assuming those are 2 main factors that they're factoring in.
Yeah, the revenge factor. There you go.
Yeah.
I have a theory. I think the offenses are going to be ahead of the defenses at this point. I think it's a lot like coming out of spring training. I think where the opposite is true, where the pitchers are usually ahead of the hitters. I think the offenses are going to be ahead. I think the teams that have static personnel, that have a lot of the same personnel they had last year, run the same schemes, not a lot of turnover at the coordinator position or the head coach position. I think those teams are going to have an advantage. And you've got 2 of those teams that are squaring off here today. Although the Houston Texans are going to try to incorporate some new personnel, and basically they lost their best receiver and replaced them with a bag of balls. So that could be a problem for the Houston Texans going forward as DeAndre Hopkins.
I don't think the Texans are any good. So that's just my takeaway there. I'm leaning Chiefs. The better overall team. I think it's more likely that they'll have less of a hangover when you aren't actually allowed to party anywhere, and you're kind of forced to play football because of COVID and everything. So I don't think they're going to be that distracted for the start of the season. Plus, you lose DeAndre Hopkins. You replace him with Brandon Cooks, who's injured, who might play, but he's probably not 100%. Randall Cobb, okay. Your defense, besides J.J. Watt, is still very underwhelming.
Yep.
And you can't run the ball because David Johnson isn't exactly an in-between tackles guy.
You don't like Johnson & Johnson?
No, I'm not a Johnson & Johnson fan. They're both basically the exact same running back, and they don't have anybody to run in between the tackles. Yeah, I don't like Houston's team. I think they're going to underachieve this year. I also don't like Bill O'Brien, which I'm sure nobody actually likes Bill O'Brien. As a coach, I mean. And, yeah, for that reason, I'll lean to Kansas City.
I think Bill O'Brien is going to be – I think he's going to be stubborn about trying to run the football here. And I think it's possible they may have some success. I know everybody – there's a stat they like to trot out about the Chiefs, and the Chiefs gave up 4.9 yards per carry last season. That is absolutely true. However, after being gashed by Derrick Henry in Tennessee Chiefs went on a little 9-game winning streak where they allowed 88 yards per game rushing and 3.9 yards per carry. I think that's the defense that you're probably going to see here tomorrow night, or tonight rather. I've got picks all over. I did a standalone video on this one. Took a pick on the total. I do have a pick on the side for my premium play. However, I've got kind of a funky play here, Scott. I like the Houston Texans over 21.5. How about that?
I can't say it's really a funky play. That sounds fine to me. I got Watson on my fantasy team, so I'm not going to complain about it.
Okay. I think that I don't know that this game will necessarily come down to the wire, but I do think there's going to be opportunities for the Texans to score. The Chiefs do have defensive lapses on occasion. I think it's going to take a while, perhaps, for that unit to be back up to where they were. I think the offense is more of a plug and play situation than the Chiefs' defense. There could be opportunities for Houston there. I'll take the Houston Texans over 21.5 and keep an eye on that as that number continues to fall. If that total continues to fall, maybe even get 21, which obviously is a big difference. So I'll take the Houston Texans over 21.5. And what are you going with here, bud?
So I was looking at some props here, mostly touchdown scoring props, and Edwards-Helaire I was interested in, but there are some reports that he might be splitting touches with Darrell Williams for the first week as they ease Helaire into the NFL fold. So I'm not really interested in that. However, I am
doing that all season long, Scott. Anybody that thinks Williams-Helaire is going to be Edwards-Helaire is going to be the far and away starter and get the majority of carries never really paid attention to an Andy Reid team.
No, so my point is that touchdown for Helaire, and I thought was interesting because I thought that he might be the goal line back, so to speak, and he's roughly minus 110. But based on how Houston has been so awful at covering him in the past, I kind of got to go over with Kelce props, right? I mean, the Houston can't guard him. He's torched Houston repeatedly for the last couple of meetings. Well, looking at the actual lines here, Kelce touchdowns minus 120, which I think is not that bad. But if I'm looking at receiving yards here for Kelce, I see 70.5 at minus 115. I'm going to take that. I think that line's too low. So that's going to be my main play there. I'll go Kelce over 70.5 receiving yards, which is available on Fox Bet at minus 115.
Yeah, I think that's.
Actually, I stand corrected. FanDuel has 67.5 at minus 110. So that's going to be my play. I'll go with Kelce over 67.5 receiving yards at minus 110 on FanDuel.
All right, very good.
You got any thoughts on that?
That's a great play. I think Kelce probably goes for 100 here tonight.
Houston can't guard him.
No.
They've tried to, and they can't guard him. He had 3 touchdowns in the playoff game?
Yeah. Well, guess what? Nobody else can either. So
I agree, but I'm saying if Houston has to pick their poison between Tyreek Hill over the top, along with Kelce underneath, Hilaire's also a good receiving back, along with Darrell Williams also an okay receiving back, but Hilaire's very good out of the backfield. Yeah, I think Kelce's going to have a lot of one-on-one coverage with linebackers, and I think they're not going to be able to cover him. So I think that's a pretty low number.
All right, and I would certainly give advice to anybody to fade every under on the Edwards-Helaire on props. That's just my thought as watching the Chiefs play a lot of games, watching Andy Reid coach a lot of games. For starters, as a running back for the Kansas City Chiefs, if you don't block, you don't play. And I know the reports are Edwards-Helaire is a good blocker, so we'll see how that plays out. But keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on his blocking ability, because that's going to let you know how much he actually gets to play in the game time. I think he's not going to play. They could split snaps. They could split the snaps here. I think that's a best case scenario for Edwards-Helaire. I know Andy has a lot of faith in Darrell Williams.
Well, Darrell Williams was pretty good in a secondary role last year, just as a backup running back. He was fine.
Yeah, absolutely solid.
Now, it's actually going to take me to another play that I'm going to be looking at, and it's going to be on Deshaun Watson. And they have a combo prop here with rushing yards and passing yards. I don't know about you, but I think everyone can agree that, or most people can agree, that the Texans offense starts and stops with Deshaun Watson. And right now, FanDuel has a combo prop on Watson rushing and passing yards over 300.5, and that is at minus 118 on FanDuel. I think that if Texans are going to keep it close, even if they don't, then you have a bunch of garbage time yards for Watson. But Kansas City's not exactly known to eat up a ton of clock on drives. I think the Texans should have the ball a decent amount. And 300.5 seems like a good deal to me. I know Watson had 388 passing yards against the against the Chiefs in the playoff game. Not to mention the rushing yard ability. 300.5 seems a bit low to me. I think he can get there on passing alone. Watson should also run for probably around 30 to 40. So for that reason, my other play would be Watson passing and rushing yards combo over 300.5, which is available on FanDuel at minus 118. You have any thoughts on that?
I'm a big fan of that one. If this Kansas City Chiefs team has a weakness, it's going to be at the cornerback position as Rashard Breeland sits out the first 4 games with a suspension. Looks like at this point the starter is going to be Antonio Hamilton, came over from the Giants. You say Giants and cornerback, and that conjures up some horrific images. They've definitely got some problems there in the backfield. It looks like Juan Thornhill's going to be back. He's probably going to play the nickel, but there's going to be some opportunity for Deshaun Watson to definitely complete some passes downfield. I think that's a great play. I think you're spot on, somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 yards rushing, 270 yards passing, and there's a couple scenarios where that happens. Obviously, the first would be where it's a competitive back and forth game, and Watson has to air it out. The second would be playing from behind. As you mentioned, the Chiefs not exactly known for eating up clock, and that's exactly right. They scored 4 touchdowns in the second quarter of that game after going down 24-0 to Houston. Scored 4 unanswered touchdowns, all drives less than 2 minutes. I take that back. 1 drive, 2 minutes and 3 seconds. Everything else under 2 minutes. So, that's probably one of my favorite plays.
Yes, those are my two. I'm backing Kelsey and I'm backing Deshaun Watson.
Well, this team's going to put up. Let's say conservatively, this team puts up 350 to 400 yards of total offense. Where's it coming from?
That's what I'm saying. That's the thing. Are you going to assume? I know in the regular season last year, Texans won. They ran the ball a lot with Carlos Hyde. You don't have a running back in the tackles anymore with Duke Johnson and with David Johnson. They just don't specialize in that area. So, you're going to run at Frank Clark?
Right.
I don't know what the hell you're supposed to do. I think Watson's going to run around for his life. I think Fuller has a couple of chances to go deep for maybe a big play touchdown. Could get you a free 60, 70 yards, give or take. That wouldn't surprise me if Fuller takes the top off once or twice in this game. So maybe your receiving yards prop on him is a decent look. But with Cooks and Fuller, assuming Cooks is going to play, I got to assume that they're going to try for some deep passes here.
Sure. Oh, absolutely.
Which could lead to a lot of quick, strikes for 50, 60 receiving yards right there. So, I think based on that, I think those numbers are too low.
Yeah, and they
could go passing yards only. Sorry to interrupt. You could go passing yards only, but Watson is also very well known to extend plays, and he's not afraid to run. So I think if you join both those together, I think Watson could have a huge day.
I think Watson has 30. I think Watson has 30 yards rushing, 35 yards rushing, and probably puts up
300 passing yards, maybe.
300.
So for that reason, I think that number's too low.
Yep, I think you're good.
You got any props you want to talk about for this game?
I was looking them over. I don't have a lot of individual props that you have there being close to being New Jersey adjacent. I'll tell you what I do like. Watson 276 yards passing, kind of the same bet.
Yeah, I just want to include the rushing aspect because Watson has the ability to run for. Would it shock me if Watson, for example, ran for 70 yards? No, he'll be running for his life. No, I'm fine with that. So yeah, that's kind of the same idea.
And yeah, that's a. I'm trying to think here. Anything else that I like? How about Darrell Williams to have a touchdown in Kansas City to win at plus 264?
Yeah, that has some value to it. I'm trying to see what he said. In Kansas City to win?
Yeah.
And what was the price?
The dual play plus 264.
So what if I told you that Darrell Williams scored a touchdown without the Chiefs winning is plus 260 on DraftKings?
Good Lord.
Yeah, you're kind of getting. I see plus 275 on Fox Bet.
I tell you I need to move to a new state is what I tell you there.
You just need a runner. That's all you need.
Yeah, I like Williams. I like Williams to score.
Yeah, so what I was going to say before is going into this, I was thinking maybe Hilaire, but before I did research, that's what I thought. And then I did research and I realized they're really chopping this thing. So, yeah, I lost interest there. So I'm mostly going to stick to passing yards with I've got Kelsey receiving yards over at 67.5 on FanDuel, and I'll be going with Watson rushing and passing yards combined over 300.5 at -118 on FanDuel.
Yeah, to give you a little perspective, the site I'm using, they've got Edwards-Helaire to score a touchdown in case you to win at -153.
Yeah.
The public is all over Edwards-Helaire here.
I think he's a good player, but the issue is that people think he's going to take the ground running.
Right.
I don't think he's going to take the ground running.
No preseason.
Neither does Andy Reid. So
no preseason game, no live fire. No. It just no, people. Maybe I'll be wrong.
He could score, but you're losing value if you think he's going to get a ton of snaps.
I'll come back on the show tomorrow and eat all kinds of crow. If Edwards-Helaire goes for 150 yards, scores 3 touchdowns, yeah, I'll be the first to admit it. But that's not Andy's MO. He's got 2 experienced backs that he likes. Andy is also a big fan of Darwin Thompson, who's the 3rd string back. Darwin Thompson, pretty good pass catcher, and one of these guys that has been kind of been waiting for him to take that next step. So they're not going to go to sleep on him. He's going to get his touches. I just don't think Edwards-Helaire is going to be the dominating force in week 1 that people think he is going to be. So
makes sense to me.
All right, there you go. I know I'm looking forward to it. I feel bad for the people.
So are you giving out anything official or no?
Anything official? Yeah. Houston team total over 21.5.
Okay, cool.
Yep. That's going to be my official play from this. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of chat for nothing. No, it's
I'm just going with 2 player props. That's where I'm going at.
And I did a total pick on our standalone video. So if you're interested in that, just check out me wearing a hat. It's the Steamrollers free pick of the day. So make sure you check that out if you're interested in more. As always, having a decent little run on our premium side. Check out the premium plays there at the tab, winnersandwhiners.com. That's all the shameless plugs I have. So make sure you listen to us every day as we do today in sports betting. We're going to be doing a college show tomorrow, Scott, and then we're going to be doing an NFL show for Saturday.
It's going to be a fun time.
Fall is in the air, my friend. It's about 50 degrees here in Kansas City, so it's could have a little rain in the forecast for tonight. By the way, have to keep an eye on that. Shouldn't see wind as much of a factor, but there could be just a little bit of on and off rain. So keep an eye on the Kansas City forecast and plan your bets accordingly. Is what I'm saying. So,
yep.
All right, guys. Thanks very much for joining us as always on Today in Sports Betting. If you want to see as I always tell you, if you want to see a deep dive, head to Winners and Whiners. But if you want to see a super deep dive, and I mean, Scott, is there anywhere that does a more comprehensive breakdown than our deep dive format on the NFL?
If you find one, you should tell me because I haven't found it.
Yeah. For free or for money, you're not going to find a more detailed breakdown anywhere on the internet than you will find on winnersandwhiners.com. Don't believe me? Get over there, check it out. I'm lying. Put it in the comment section. Tell me who does it better. All right. So check that out. Check us out. Check everything out. Check out this game tonight. As always, we'll be here to talk about it tomorrow, and we'll be here to recap and give all our advice going forward. So for myself, for Scott Reichel, for all of us over here at winnersandwhiners.com, thanks for joining us on the show. Wish you lots of luck on all of your plays, and stay safe, stay healthy. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Today in Sports Betting. Take care.